All right, everyone should be able to see that now.
There we go.
Well, yeah, but that's no fun, just hearing a voice behind a PowerPoint.
But you got such a sexy voice. I'm fine with it.
Oh, dear. Yeah, oopsie.
It's outside.
Alrighty, folks, so let's get started. So we'll talk about our raid roster. We'll talk about our progression start date, expectations, etiquette. We'll review the loot rules. We'll talk about our event calendar, and then we'll have an open forum. And you guys tell us, what worked and what didn't work for Dragonflight. We want to know. We want to be better and do better. And your input matters to us. So please let us know. And then after all of that, we'll run some heroic dungeons. Any questions?
When do we make this statement, after or before?
What's that? Sorry?
When do we make those statements, after or before? I missed that.
We'll have the open forum at the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Okay, so the raid roster is posted. So our tanks, we're going to have Bees and Harima as our progression tanks. Backup tanks will be Snow, Tech, and Kaluan. For healers will be Eric, Inway, myself, Quixie, Spellcheck, Yasmin, and backup healers will be Oopsie, Talindri, and Niz. And we have all sorts of DPS as well. Just so you folks know, when a tank or healer role needs to be covered, we'll follow the backup list. And we do that to be fair, to be consistent, to be transparent. So let's say Harima can't tank Saturday night. Well, then we will ask Snow. And if Snow can't, then we'll ask Tech. If Tech can't, then we'll ask Kaluan. So we will follow the backup list. So again, that way we're being consistent and transparent with the roles. Nothing new here. Stay on your main until AOTC is earned, unless there are extenuating circumstances. We do this because it's only fair. It's the easiest way for us to gear up our raid team, and it also maintains the group integrity. Any questions? Okie doke. So the raid opens this Tuesday. And like we've done before, we'll have a 2-week blitz in normal. So that's going to be next Friday and Saturday. That's September 13th and 14th. And then the following weekend is the 20th and the 21st. We've done a blitz in the past, and based on your feedback and based on our success, like we've earned AOTC a lot earlier than we have in previous expansions. And it's really nice not to be on at the 11th hour trying to earn AOTC. So we feel that this accelerated schedule is really working. So we're going to continue with that. So again, expecting good things for this raid tier. I suspect we'll be just as successful as we've been previously. So for normal raid, it drops 597 gear. In terms of an item level and DPS and heals requirement, let's just jump in there next weekend. And then we'll look at the logs, we'll reflect upon the numbers, and then we'll come up with something that we think is reasonable. I'd rather look at concrete data than look at the numbers on PTR. Like, the numbers on PTR, like, it's anywhere between 500,000 to 1 million that some of these folks are pulling. It's crazy. So I don't want to make decisions based on that data. So I'd rather just jump in there, see how it feels, and then we'll figure out something that's reasonable for us as a guild. What I do suspect is it probably will be an item level of around 580 and around 300k-ish for DPS and heals. A good rule of thumb is, it's approximately 15 item levels lower than what, is being offered. Is a good entry level for our item level. Any questions about that? Hey!
Is it still doing that radar IO thing?
Not for normal, just for heroic, but we'll get there. So for raid, go ahead. I think I heard somebody.
Yes, first, I have a question.
Yeah.
The action house prices right now are really crazy. Are we going full enchant and everything else that we need for the raid the first week?
Great question, and I will be chatting about this shortly. The short answer is no. We know that they are crazy expensive right now, as they always are at the beginning of every expansion. So do what's reasonable. Lesser enchants are completely acceptable right now. Once we move into heroic, however, we're going to need the best of the best, the good stuff. But for right now, no, that is not the expectation. Any other questions?
Before you buy them off the auction house, put in a guild order request in Discord, because a bunch of us enchanters have made lower level stuff just to gear up.
Including yourself, Odessa. You've provided a lot of goodies for us.
You are a machine, man, and I appreciate everything you've done for me, that's for sure.
Just talking about the enchants. I know most of the enchants, so but I can't do level 3 yet, but I can do the low level stuff for you.
Yeah, I've been trying to get the higher end recipes, but for the most part, spell can do also most of them, up to level 2s.
That's awesome, folks. And also just to remind everyone, like in terms of being ready for raiding next weekend, Heroics drops 580. LFR opens this Tuesday and drops 584. Mythic Zeros opens also this Tuesday and drops 593. Don't forget the world bosses. Don't forget using your coffer keys on delves, and don't forget the faction and the rep grinds. That last one, it's my least favorite way to acquire gear, but it's there. It is a path. Lots of different ways for us to get gear. Any other questions?
I'm not
I
gonna
thought-
lie. Go
I
ahead.
thought Heroics dropped 574, not 580, unless they're changing that next week.
I've been getting 571 out of Heroics.
Yeah,
Me
that's
too.
around what I was thinking.
They're changing it, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. I will double check that. Okay.
Do we
Yeah, I mean,
know? Sorry.
It's not too much of an issue because you can upgrade it to 593 pretty
Right.
painlessly.
Right.
Oh my God, I love your accent.
Do we know if the new heroic gear at season 1 is going to be adventure track still, or are they moving that up?
Um.
Now, heroic is 571, 1 of 8 adventure. Next week it's still going to be adventure, but it's going to drop 4 of 8, which is 580.
Okay, good
Yeah.
info, thank you.
Yeah. Heroic is dropping 480? Sorry, 580?
Or 482.
I thought it was
No.
610.
Heroic dungeon. Heroic dungeon.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
I'm not gonna lie, I am a little overwhelmed by the game. I'm really confused on what to do because there's just so many options and it's overwhelming this old little boy.
Not to worry, oopsie. We're here to help.
Yeah,
Personally,
I like to hop on Discord as much as possible, and don't be afraid to ask for advice or anything, because there's a lot of great people that spend their time and willing to help people out.
It's so true. Like we've been.
But-
Go ahead, Odessa.
I was going to say, right now you can just do quests, get the drops or the delves, and get the drops. You know, the explorer tracks will go to 480 if you max out 8 of 8 right now. So you can get 480 right now without even before you even make the plus or anything opens up.
580. Yeah.
And if it doesn't take any crest to do that. It just takes the what do you call it?
I would add that right now you don't want to use your coffer keys for delves.
Right.
Because next week they open up to higher levels, which you'll want to save them for.
Yeah, I think you want to
That's
wait
how it
until
says,
tier
by the way.
8. Is it tier 8? I think you want to use your coffers on.
Yeah, tier 8 is the max
Yeah.
item level.
Or don't even know what a coffer key is yet.
Right
you
now, go ahead.
You get them caches.
Yeah.
Weekly caches.
And right now, oopsie, I would just be focusing on world quests, I would be focusing on running heroics. And, this Tuesday when LFR opens up, I'd be running LFR. You'll be fine.
Thanks first.
You'll be
That
fine.
makes it a little easier for me because, like I say, right now it's just so much. I'm overwhelmed and, but
You'd be
thanks,
fine.
it'll help.
Yeah. And like I said, for next weekend, we're just going to jump in there. There's going to be no expectations for next weekend. Let's just jump in there, see how it feels. And then we'll figure out numbers from there to, that's going to be reasonable for us moving forward.
That's gonna be the only part that makes sense to me.
Okay, so after our 2-week blitz and normal, then that third week is when we're going to start heroic progression. So when that happens, Fridays will continue to be normal progression from 9 to 11 p.m. server time. And then the following day, Saturday, so that's September 28th,
My birthday.
right, that's going to begin our heroic progression. Same time, 8 to 11 p.m. server time. And just as we've done in the past, so folks will be confirmed on Saturday's in-game calendar if their output during Friday's raid meets Saturday's requirements. So Friday becomes that gateway into Saturday's heroic progression. Once we clear normal, then folks will be allowed to bring their alts for Friday only. But until that time, mains are required for Friday and Saturday, barring extenuating circumstances, of course. Like if we're down a roll and someone needs to hop onto a different tune because for whatever reason, there are those circumstances. But those aside, everyone is on their mains until we are in AOTC, and everyone is on their mains until we clear normal, and then Friday can become alt raid, and you can bring a different tune. Any questions about that?
Just want to make sure that that's the case. So, like, first 2 weeks is normal regardless. Cool. Then after that, it's normal heroic. And for third week, when it is normal heroic, we are on mains for both until we clear normal, and then normal can become alt raid, right?
You got it. You got it. And the reason why we do that is we always want a tiered path to progression. So we want an avenue that allows folks to gear up. So if folks aren't quite ready for Saturday, there's Friday. Like if folks aren't quite ready for heroic, there's Friday. And so this way we're meeting the needs individually of where you are in terms of your own progress, because it's not all about endgame content. We want to make sure that there's, like I said, a path for folks to level at their own pace. And in terms of expectations for heroic, for the item level and DPS and heals output, again, that's to be announced. We want to wait for live data. I don't want to make these decisions based on data from the PTR. So those expectations will be coming as soon as we have concrete data.
We don't have to do it now, but just either now or get with me later. Can you explain to me exactly how Raider IO works and all that stuff?
For sure. And that's a great segue into the next requirement. So for raid readiness, as I said, Friday's raid kind of becomes the proving grounds to be confirmed for Saturday. And you also need a Raider IO score of 1,000 plus. Mythic Plus opens Tuesday, September 17th, and it drops 597 gear. And I know when we first implemented this rule, there was some concern and there was some pushback. But I think folks are now seeing the value in that expectation. If we're honest with ourselves, we know that one of our weaknesses as a raid team is raid awareness. So by going into those keys and exposing us to those, high intensity mechanics that those keys have to offer, that makes us better raiders. And it has made us better raiders. Like we're doing much better with our raid awareness and our ability to respond to, mechanics on the fly. So it's working. And so I think folks are seeing the value in that expectation. So I know at first it was met with a lot of reticence, but I think now it's one of those, kind of necessary burdens that we all had to put on our checklist to again make sure we're at the top of our game. Any questions about that?
Does LFR stuff give IO scores?
No, just keystones +2 and up. Just done. Yep. And like,
And
go
to
ahead.
get 1,000, you're going to need 2 weeks of, because you're going to have to do dungeons of both fixes. So don't wait until that last week to get it, because you're going to need to start the week of the 17th. You know, then it'll change the fixes on the week of the 24th there.
It's not a very steep mythic rating either. You'll accumulate points pretty quickly.
I think some folks, like, yes, there's the fortified week and the tyrannical week, but I think there's some folks that'll be able to get 1,000 Raider IO in just one rotation in 1 week.
I think it's going to be a lot harder this time, and also it's not going to drop the gear you're thinking. No, it's not. I think it was good last season because it outgeared the dungeon drops.
Oh.
Well, remember though, not this year, the difference is you can actually run mythics every day in order to get
Good
your
point.
level up to...
Good point. That is true. Good point. It resets every day. Yeah.
That's Mythic Zero, right?
Yeah.
The key
Mythic
zero.
Mythic Zero resets every day now instead of once a week. And as far as anything above a Mythic 2, you can run those as much as possible as long as you have a key for it.
In order to achieve that, from what I understand and from what I've read, in order to achieve that 1,000 Raider IO score, you need to do about 2s or 3s. And like Kill said earlier, make sure you're utilizing our event calendar, signing up for events, and utilizing your guildies. Like, we've been a guild for over 15 years. There is a wealth of knowledge and experience here. So make sure you reach out to your guildies, because we are more than willing to share our tips, right? And our tricks. If, again, the stronger we are individually, the stronger we're going to be as a team, as a guild.
If you're having trouble getting scheduled for things, just ask in chat if you wanted to run dungeons and stuff. There's usually a group of us on that are more than happy to form up a group and run a mythic or two.
That's what I was going to say. There's usually quite a bit of us that always want to do keys.
Is that Tyan? Hi, Tyan! How's it going? So great to see you. Oh, get back into Azeroth. You're gonna absolutely love the War Within. Hey, Trojans, how's it going? Happy Saturday to you too.
And so don't be afraid to log in and just ask, because jump in, say, hey, you got a spot, because 9 times out of 10, even people will make room for you and try to get you in there and get you comfortable. And then if you need help, ask.
Yeah, because we're pretty good at rotating people out. Like, if there's a bunch of us and people want to DPS, usually it's like, okay, after this one, we'll get this person in.
Oh. All true.
Except for Eric.
Eric's a jerk.
Yeah.
Aw, Eric's my favorite.
I find Harima pretty good, actually.
I knew you were going to say that.
I love Eric. He's my favorite.
Oh my.
He's not here right now.
I like all the Erics, so we go.
All right, well, moving on to our next slide then. So loot rules. This is right off the website. There's absolutely nothing new here. For our new folks, we do need to take the time to go through it. And as you guys know, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what's going to work with respect to the loot rules. And so here we are. And, despite our best efforts, like I've said here, to establish loot rules that are going to be perfect, there's always unforeseen loot circumstances that occur. And when that does happen, we will navigate those instances as they arise, and we'll do it as fairly as possible. So just to review, only guild members are eligible to need roll on items, and that is for gear, recipe, pets, toys, mounts, etc. Guests aren't eligible to need roll, but they certainly can transmog or greed roll on items. Guild members are allowed 2 main spec need wins, and that's with the tune that's in attendance. If the item is an upgrade for your main spec, then you go ahead and need roll on the item. It's as simple as that. After a guild member has won 2 main spec need rolls, then you either transmog, greed, or pass, depending on your interest. So what this means, folks, is you will be using transmog or greed if you're ineligible to need roll, meaning that you're a guest. 2, you've already won your 2 main spec need rolls. Or 3, you want the item for transmog. So there's no off-spec roll anymore. If you want the item for off-spec, then you take your chances with transmog or greed. Our loot rules, based on your feedback, are designed to prioritize main spec rolls. We want more folks on their main spec getting the gear. And so that's what we've done to accommodate that request. And as we've said before, if it's a large item, like a large upgrade for someone, and they lose to someone whose interest is just transmog, then speak up, folks. It's of course, it's always at the discretion of the person who won the item, but there's been so many instances where folks have selflessly surrendered the item for a bigger upgrade to someone else, provided that they're next on the list, according to the loot window to receive the item. That happens all the time. We're forfeiting gear to someone else who needs it. So I fully expect that same kind of generous attitude will continue into this expansion. Nothing's changed here either. Guild members and guests have unlimited transmog and unlimited greed wins. Loot rules do not carry over for continuation runs. They are reset for each raid evening. And loot rules are also reset when we transition from normal to heroic. So let's say in the same raiding evening, we clear normal and then we move into heroic. That's a different tier. So the loot rules are reset. And also don't loot lock yourself. That's a rule that we've had for a while too, because if you do that, then you're not eligible for loot and you reduce the loot pool for us. So that means we're not, as a group in the loot pool, we're not getting as much gear as we could if you already previously ran through the raid and cleared all the bosses, because you won't be dropping any loot. Any questions about that? What do you mean, sorry, Blizz banned you?
Are you y'all going to be using any add-ons to make it quicker to give out the loot, or are we still doing the old-fashioned way?
No, we're using the in-game loot system. So you're needing on gear that is an upgrade, or you're transmodding or greeting or passing. So for officers, all we're doing... What's that?
I didn't know they had added a decent one into the in-game. I remember a long time ago it wasn't worth crap. Curious.
Oh yeah, it's been quite a journey, roller coaster of ups and downs with what Blizz has done to the in-game loot system.
And one good thing is we test drove this for season 4 and it worked really, really well. So,
and they won't say I did wrong. You really are banned? That's terrible.
I like it.
Really? That's awful.
I can chime in as a non-officer. I think it's working really well, and
thanks,
it's
Desi.
really fast as well.
Thanks, Desi.
I just have one question, if it's okay.
Of course.
So it sounds, everything makes sense here. Just to make sure I have a firm understanding. As far as the loot rules go for main spec, so it resets every evening. So let's say for Friday, for example, someone got 2 main spec rows and they're eligible again to do the same thing on Saturday, or would they have to wait until the next consecutive week?
Nope.
No, it resets. Like, so you run Friday, right? You got your 2 need rolls, whatever, on Friday. Then on Saturday it would reset.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. You bet. All right, last slide that relates to the loot rules. So the role that you attended for, like the role that you attended raid for rather, dictates your main spec need roll. So if you're tanking, then you're need rolling on tanking gear. If you're DPSing, you're need rolling on DPS gear. Now, the only change to that is if you were asked to switch specs, let's say in the middle of the raid, and suddenly we realize, oh my gosh, we have to rejig, and this person who was DPSing has to go heals, then because that's something that they may or may not want to do, and we've asked them to change specs, then they will have the opportunity to choose, and they will announce which spec they will be need rolling on. Because it's not their fault that they are playing a role that they didn't originally sign up for, but they're changing to accommodate the needs of the guild or the needs of the raid. Any questions about that? If anyone, misclicks on an item, no worries, that can be easily resolved. So if you're like, oh gosh, I didn't mean to need on that, and you end up winning the item, well then, we either return the item to the officer to have it re-roll, or we take a look at the loot window and see the next person down the line who would have or should have won that item. So all those things can be easily fixed. If we're rolling for transmog and we have to do it manually, let's say, we will proceed in keeping with Blizzard's in-game loot algorithm for transmog. And so what they've done is armor-specific classes are prioritized. So if we're rolling transmog on a cloth helm and a plate and a pally, both want that, the Blizzard in-game loot system would automatically prioritize the armor-specific class. So we will do the same. So the highest armor-specific roll will win the item.
They also do that for weapons as well. So if
Correct.
There's a certain weapon that your class can't use, but you can obviously use it for transmog, your transmog rolls will get lower priority. So the same would apply.
Perfect. Yep. If BOEs drop, that's personal loot. That's your loot. We are not going to force you to surrender that loot or give it up. But if you do want to donate it, that's great. So you pass it to an officer and we will roll that item off in raid chat. And BOE items will be rolled off just as we would normally. So need main spec first. If no one wants it for need main spec, then it goes to transmog, then it goes to alts. And if you win an item, if you win a BOE for your main, it's just good form. We kindly ask you to equip it. And so that way there's, full transparency, and that does count towards your 2 main spec wins. Any questions about that? Also, hopefully goes without saying, there's no secret trading. It's unfair to the team. It also invites favoritism and loot drama. We don't want any of that. If recipes drop, so guild members with the corresponding profession on your current tune, if a recipe drops, if an alchemy recipe drops and I'm an alchemist, then I can need roll on that alchemy recipe. If you want it for a different tune or your warband, then you greed on that. And I do believe the in-game loot system does that already. But just to be clear here, you're needing, if the tune that you're playing, you have the corresponding profession. Pets, toys, mounts, those are all considered separate items. They do not count against your 2 main spec need wins. If you want a pet, toy, mount, whatever, need roll on the item. There is no limit restrictions for recipes, pets, toys, mounts. You have unlimited, guild members have unlimited wins. Any questions about that?
So say we have a guest with us and a recipe drops, do they get to need roll on that also?
Sadly, no, they are not a guild member. Only guild members are eligible to need roll on anything. Okay, with respect to our event calendar, it resumes full time this Tuesday. So you will see all those events popping up on your calendar starting next Tuesday. The officers and I, we spent a lot of time putting together our event calendar. We want to make sure that there's lots of variety, lots of diversity, that it's inclusive as possible. We want lots of events to accommodate everyone. Like, it's not just about endgame content. We want everyone in the guild to feel that they can participate and sign up for something, that they're being represented on the calendar. So we do our best to try to accommodate the needs of our guild, everyone's personal progression, all those sorts of things. So you'll see those events start popping up in preparation for Tuesday. We'll have our staple events. We'll have our farming events. When Shorty comes back, she will be hosting her PvP. We'll have LFR. We'll have keys. And everything that we have on the calendar in some way, this is the method behind the madness, promotes raid readiness for Friday and Saturday. So everything on that calendar in some way supports us to be better raiders. We'll also have fun stuff too. There'll be a win a character sketch of your toon from our local artist Snow. So we'll be putting together that event. How cool is that? We'll have Secret Santa, of course, again this year. Pyrite a few years ago, and to my shame, we haven't done it yet. My apologies. But Pyrite suggested to do a guild Kahoot. I love the idea, so we'll try to make sure that that happens. We've done transmog contests in the past. We've done horde lawn darts in the past. Although we're going to need a new location since Dalaran is now destroyed. We've had lots of trivia contests. Hot Chick has put those together. We've done lore crawls. We've done old school stuff. So we'll have some fun stuff thrown in there as well. And also specific to this expansion. So as we're navigating the new content and experiencing this new expansion, if there's anything that you're thinking to yourself, hey, this would make a really good guild event, let us know and we'll do our best to accommodate. So if there's any suggestions or any ideas, let myself or any of the other officers know, and we'll try to make it a permanent event on the calendar.
And please make sure that you are checking your calendar weekly. We do try our hardest to have our events up there.
True.
Is there any plans to put like a Delve night or Delve afternoon or something?
For the Delves?
Yeah.
I was thinking about that, and I was told, and from what I read, we're going to outgrow the Delves very quickly. And it's not going to be an event that's, that's going to sustain us throughout the expansion. I hope I'm wrong, because they're so much fun. They're a blast. Has anyone else read that the Delves are just going to kind of be a temporary path to get gear, and then we're just going to quickly outgrow it?
I bet the opposite.
First season, like the first season one. Like especially using the good ending paths.
Yeah. So you guys...
What I read is Delve drop better gear than Mythic Plus right now, and for the next couple of weeks.
Okay. So maybe it is.
Yeah, I heard that.
Okay.
Delves will be a seasonal thing, and they'll be competitive with dungeons.
Okay.
And mythics.
And it'll always open up another reward track too in your vault.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you get to, I think Delve 11, you're getting Hero 3 of 6, 4 of 6 out of there for your vault.
Okay.
Which is
Yeah,
equivalent to
3 of 6.
Yeah.
And here, I mean, Delve Tier 7 will drop hero gear in your vault, so it'll be useful for a while. For most folks.
Also, I mean, to go back on, like, it doesn't keep up with the loot, neither does LFR, but...
Fair enough.
We
True.
always have LFR up there.
Good point.
That is something that I would also like to talk about when we
Yep.
get into it.
Sure. So, okay, I will write that down. Delves is back on the list.
And for those that do like to PvP, I will be keeping my event as on Saturdays at 1. This dumb button is making me mad.
You're not the only one.
It's good to be quiet.
All right, we're nearing the end. What else we got here? So what's the same? This kind of goes back to Moriarty's question. With respect to your gear being gemmed and enchanted, we're not looking for the best of the best. So the lesser enchants are completely fine, especially now. It's the beginning of the expansion. We understand they're stupidly expensive. But do make sure your add-ons are updated. So DBM, details, GTFO, weak auras. Make sure you're bringing personals. We try really hard to bring cauldrons and feasts to the guild every Friday and Saturday night. I know Harima's been working really hard. He has a cauldron ready to go for next Friday, which is awesome. And I know that a whole smash of folks have donated a whole smash of mats to help with that. And Hot Chick's farming event on Monday, I know lots of folks funnel all sorts of mats to her. And it's just so helpful. It just makes it so much easier for us to provide all those goodies for raid night. Any questions about that?
Not a really question, just something to add. I know they've been doing something new with food. So for feasts in particular, if we think we're going to use more than 10 feasts in one night, we can combine 10 feasts into one to make it a hearty feast, and it will now last through death.
Oh, I did not know that. I love that.
Yeah, so if we think we're going to use more than 10, it makes sense just to make a hearty one, and then it lasts through death for the whole night.
There are also things that will stop your files and whatnot from counting down. For example, when we're on our breaks between load.
I can make this for engineers.
Yeah, plus files.
Nice. Okay. Well, that sounds like a great quality of life feature that they've added. Okay.
In terms of donations, if I were to donate herb mats, are we looking for just T3 mats, or do we accept T2 and T1 donations as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, we accept all of them. Like, we have folks, leveling up, through all the expansions, and so all of that helps. Okay, go ahead, Spell.
No, I was just gonna say, with some of the skills, like with herbalism, you can turn the tier 1 to tier 2 and then tier 2 to tier 3.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everything's always useful.
And plus right now.
Oh, sorry, that's what he meant.
Get tier 3 just from harvesting
Yeah.
it anyway, so yeah, any is good.
I misunderstood your question there. All is good. Yep. Sorry. Go ahead, anyway.
I can refine the herbs up to T3.
Oh, very nice. Well done.
So and I can also do.
I only have tier 2.
Okay.
The first thing I did with my knowledge.
Nice. Okay, let's see here. Oh, this is your teacher giving you homework. So yes, do your homework. Make sure you're researching the fights. My cheat notes are posted in Discord along with the boss strats in the Nerub channel. There's all sorts of other resources in there. There's Ready Check Pull videos. Mythic Trap just dropped their guides, which are fantastic. They are one of my go-tos. There's weak auras in there. There's also the Pineappler game, which is super fun. And there's all sorts of graphics in there too that show the item level gear paths. And also in the Keystone channel, there's an explanation of all the Season 1 affixes. So if you're, wondering the loot table for those, the graphic is in there. And for my cheat notes in Discord, I do encourage everyone to look at those cheat notes and to watch the videos, Ready Check Pull, or Mythic Trap. With my cheat notes, I try to highlight the 3 most important mechanics. So to keep it simple, 1, 2, 3. I know that there are times that I can be verbose, but I try to keep it simple and just focus on the 3 important mechanics. So there will be a brief instruction of the mechanics before we pull. And if we happen to wipe, well then, I'll go into further detail with the mechanics. But I always try to highlight the 3 most important mechanics and then we pull. Don't forget about our Casual Raid Days YouTube channel. Like and subscribe, support us. Inway also streams on Twitch, so check out her channel as well. After the end of every raid night, we post the combat logs, so don't forget to check out those logs. Make sure you're parsing the data, you're looking at your performance, and if the logs there's a lot of information to process there. So if you need help kind of demystifying the data, so to speak, again, reach out to your guildies. We will help you do that. And don't forget to be using WoW Analyzer and Wipe Fest and Mr. Robot. Those are all great resources to use. And like Kill said before, make sure you use your guildies too. Any questions?
Questions in general or questions about what will happen?
Anything.
So, every raid has this skip where you can skip a few bosses. Would it be possible to ask for a date when we're going to start using the skip?
We'll take a look at that. It's kind of one of those things that's, it's a moving target, because it just depends on have we acquired all the gear that we need? Because when we skip, right, then we're missing out on gear opportunity. So if folks have the gear and a lot of the gear is going to transmog or greed or being passed on, then that's when we start thinking about, okay, maybe it's time to start doing the skips. So it just kind of depends on how quickly our progress is.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Nothing has changed for the etiquette either. So no swearing, no political, religious, or sexist commentary, in any of the platforms, guild chat, raid chat, on Discord. Like, you are representative of casual raid days. And so, we want people to act accordingly. We are a casual guild because we raid twice a week. By definition, that's what a casual guild is. We don't raid 5 days a week. So let's optimize every minute. So let's come prepared. Let's be on time. Let's respect people's time. If you're going to be away, please let us know. You guys already do a great job. You let us know in the raid attendance channel. We do have 5-minute breaks at the top of the hour. So for Friday, we only raid for 2 hours. So there's the 1 5-minute break at 10 o'clock. And then for Saturday, we raid for 3 hours. So we have 2 5-minute breaks, 1 at 9 and 1 at 10. Try to reserve your AFKs during that time so everybody can come back and we're good to go to get started. As always, our guild rating expectations are posted on our website. I will update the website with the expectations that we've covered tonight. That'll be done very shortly. And as always, all new guild raid members must read the website and register. Everyone needs to be familiar with our rules and expectations, because that will promote efficiency and mutual respect. We don't want to be going through the rules at the beginning of every raid. We want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. Any questions about that? 2 more slides, folks. We're almost done. Okay. So the last thing I want to talk about is alt raid. And so, as always, alt raid has always been 1 tier behind progression. Again, we do that because we want that tiered path to help folks be raid ready for Saturday. Fridays will become alt raid when we have cleared normal. For alt raid, you are permitted to bring a different tune, and we'll poll interest to see who wants to tank and heal for alt raid. Nothing's changed here. Alt raid is Friday from 9 to 11 with 1 5-minute break. Eric is our raid leader for alt raid. He did a fantastic job last expansion. I know he'll do a fantastic job for this expansion. And alt raid's important, not only, like I said here, because it offers a tiered schedule to help folks gear up and be ready, and it just has that Friday night feels. It's so much fun to go in there and blow things up, especially when, on Saturday for Heroic, if we're banging our heads up against a wall, it can be really demoralizing. So sometimes it's nice to have alt raid and just go in there and blast everything. It's good for the soul and the morale of the group. So that's important, and it also encourages folks to play different roles, which means we become more versatile. So if we need to cover a role, then we're familiar with that responsibility. So alt raid is a very important event on this calendar. That's all I got, folks. What do you guys have? Any thoughts or comments, suggestions, constructive criticisms, ideas, or do you just want to jump into heroics?
With you guys, or with how you mentioned the mental state of people after some hard heroics, it's also worth noting, like, if you're struggling or want to find ways to improve and you're afraid to ask that question, just don't be. Like, ask the question in chat, in Discord. People will try to find you resources to help you.
Absolutely.
Try to get better. or if you're performing badly on a particular mechanic, what other people do to try to solve those problems. Like, just ask the question. People are more than willing to help in this guild, so.
It's so true, and like we have fostered that community, folks, and I am so proud. Like I'm so blessed to be a part of this community, and I've always said that it takes a guild to foster this community. It's not just one person. It's everyone's efforts, and we do a great job. And so, like, again, yeah, don't hesitate, because we want folks to be a part of the raiding team. And if you're struggling, we want to help you. And, you know, if we ever have to make those tough decisions where we have to trim, and we hate doing that, but when we do that, we always reach out. We always put resources in place, and we're like, okay, let's take a look at your rotation. Let's take a look at the logs. Let's take a look at, you know, the data that we can parse. Because we want you to be a part of the team. We never want anyone to feel that they're being alienated or, you know, that they're not part of the team. We will do our best to get you back on track and to help you.
I know on that note, just stress how much, you know, when they cut, how hard it is. I mean, even back when I was an officer, there were times where me as an officer got cut because, you know, I wasn't either pulling what I needed or, you know, something wasn't right. So don't ever think it's just a one-sided thing. It's everybody. It's the same treatment.
Yeah, we certainly never want to be accused of favoritism or any other kind of nepotism or ism. The rules are there for everyone to follow. Like, I've cut my husband. He's been sad. So numbers are numbers. If you're not making the numbers, you know, and that's an objective call, and that's why we have numbers. So it can never be, you know, based on subjectivity or personal conflict. It's, you know, if 300K is the magic number and you're not pulling 300K, well, that's you know, that's the bar, and that's the bar for everybody, and we all have to uphold that.
To that point, just the question, and I don't want to start any arguments or anything, but at what point do we, like, start examining that?
Well, if bosses are dying and we're getting loot and we're moving forward, then great. When we hit a brick wall and we're wiping, that's when we start looking at numbers. And it's usually not until heroic. Like, for the last few expansions, we have cleared normal in 3 or 4 weeks. So it usually doesn't happen until heroic. And, you know, once we start struggling and we're hitting that brick wall, then we're forced to look at numbers.
I would like to clarify on the dungeon loot drops with the season. Season 1, when it drops, heroics will be dropping 580, and the Great Vault from heroics will be 593.
I'm writing that down.
To clarify.
Okay.
Also, delves will be, for tier 8, delves will be 603 for bounty for delve rewards.
Yep.
And 16 from the Great Vault for delve tier 8.
Yeah, so it does seem like delves will be viable for a while because it goes decently above 8.
Congrats, everyone.
Did we get ambassador again?
Oh, did that pop again?
Yes.
Good
For
job.
the 30,000th time.
Right?
Keep all the alleys out. You kind of start to just ignore it after a while.
I know.
Everyone who's hitting up those Chiefs.
Anything else, folks?
So just something that I think works in the beginning of the season and then stops working is having a dedicated night for LFR. And I get the thought process, but, you know, looking back at season 3 and then at season 4, we have a lot of people in the beginning that join join up for it, and then by midway through the season, there are maybe 3 people, including the officer who's running it. I think maybe that night could be better spent for something that is more helpful to the guild and more productive.
Good point. Good point. My thought process behind that was to, again, always have events that are varied in that. So if we have someone just starting out, then LFR is for them. So not always about end content, that there's, events along the way to help with that person's individual progression. But I have been surprised as to how well attended it is, even the last few weeks of the expansion. Like, there have been times where we had a dozen folks sign up for LFR because they've rolled a new tune, and we have lots of folks who play alts. So I hear your point. My thinking behind it was to, again, offer something that's entry level. And it also helps with raid mechanics. It gives me an opportunity to explain those mechanics to folks who are learning and who are thinking about joining our raid team and all that kind of stuff.
LFR is my first tank, I believe.
It's actually a good source of entertainment.
And raid time.
Yeah, it's true, Adassa.
I have a question about cross-realm guilds. Now that that's a thing, do you have a policy on that? Would I be able to bring in one of my tunes into the guild but not server transfer?
Is it a thing? Because I tried finding confirmation on that and I couldn't find it.
Oh, did they end up not releasing it?
No,
You know, cross-realm is
you can do
definitely.
it right now. All you need to do is /g-invite player name - server name. I don't know if the in-game guild finder respects it, because I mean that would be a big ask of Blizzard, because there are a lot of servers and then a lot of guilds on those servers that use that. So trying to jam that in and get that going might not work.
Oh,
You
I
can invite people specifically.
It does work cross-realm. I've done it for my guild bank.
The
And
only
if you look
restriction
in-
is it has to be same faction. So if you're in a
If you
different
look at
faction,
guild roster right now, there's somebody from a different server in guild roster right now.
That would be me. At least one of them.
Okay, so my mistake. I thought what Niz was asking earlier is that can he have the same tune in two different guilds?
Yeah, that's what I asked you.
That's what I thought,
initially.
yeah.
And yeah, I don't think that's possible. But notwithstanding what I...
Hey, Killer Will, how's it going?
I probably would be
How's
willing
teaching
to
grade 12?
bring
Great.
a tune into the guild and leave my other tunes with my friend guild, if that's okay.
So you have another alt tune that you want to bring into our guild? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'd bring my evoker that I played with you guys last tier. I'd bring that into your guild, but, maybe leave him on Tychondrius, if that's acceptable.
Absolutely, that's acceptable. We would love to have you. We have lots of folks actually on different servers who have joined our guild with that particular tune. And yes, that makes you a guild member. Absolutely.
Okay.
Love it.
So my follow-up question then is, do you have or have you considered creating a community on Battle.net for people that have tunes that aren't in the guild to be able to see like guild messages and that sort of thing?
Yes, I can do that. That's a great suggestion. Let me write that down.
I was going to ask about that because I'm on the community for Squawks Guild, just for asking for keys and stuff like that. So,
Is that the Apex Dude Global?
Yes, it would be similar to like the Apox dudes. Yep. I can most definitely create that.
Awesome, thank you.
Great suggestion.
I don't agree with what you just did, but I'll suck it up.
Oh yeah, I'm only transferring if Eric has his G kicked.
Done and done.
Oh.
I'm sure we can find a way to make that happen.
Oh my gosh.
A worthy trade.
Oh my. Definitely pick on Eric,
The one
man.
that posts fishing videos.
Would never get rid of my prince friend.
Can I help Eric pack his stuff?
In order to qualify that he's the only one that posts fishing videos, you would actually have to post fishing videos.
Oh
It's
dear.
true, I haven't seen any recently. Do people not fish over the summer?
I think he sold his fishing gear.
That's not true.
I would be all over you. I haven't seen a fishing video in months.
It's been a month, but it's hot here in Texas. It's finally cooling down. So I'm not at the advanced age of 38 now. I need to get out there and I need to watch it a little bit. I can't be out there at 190 degrees.
She's the advanced age of 39.
38? Oh my God, you're a baby.
He's not 38.
He's 39.
He's not 30.
I heard it was 28.
I miss those years.
Listen,
Same here, same here.
he said the advanced age of 38. 38 advanced is 39. He didn't lie.
Well, anything else,
Maybe
folks?
10 years younger.
Anything else, folks, before we run some heroics?
Persephone still looks 38.
Well, according not to my students, I don't know if you guys read Guild Chat yesterday.
Poor Purse. I feel so
You know, spell check, I gotta tell you this, and this is gonna make you feel terrible, but it is kind of funny. So when I shared that with you, that I had a student who called me a mother effer and a bitch, and also said that I look like, I know, and also said I look like Roz from Monsters Inc., you know, the girl that talks like this. You said, oh, you don't look like her at all. And I thought, oh, does that mean he still thinks I'm a bitch and an MFer?
You don't look anything like that.
Yeah, and he shared the picture with all the kids in the class, and it was good times.
Looks like Mike, so.
He only has one eye.
Yeah, he's green.
Yeah, that would be a good way of getting expelled at my school when I went to school.
Yeah, well, he's not, so. He's.
My school, they would have called my mom and dad, and then I would have had no rear end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they can't do that nowadays.
Miss those days.
Especially 4 years ago.
My dad would have been doing it even if child services came to pick me up. He'd still be beating me while they were dragging me out of the house.
Oh, dear.
My mother actually handed me the phone one time and said, call, they'll have a reason to arrest me.
Oh, dear. Well, I appreciate the support, folks. And that wasn't a good day.
That I didn't call them.
But of the 3 classes that I'm teaching, 2 out of 3, ain't bad. So I just have the one really challenging class.
It sounds like
You're an amazing teacher. Keep doing what you're doing. Not everybody, kids can be perfect, but those kids are lucky to have you.
It can't be perfect like oops.
Alrighty, folks. Well, let's adjourn this meeting and let's get some heroics done if there's nothing else to add.
Have fun, guys.
Yep.
Sorry I've been MIA. I will be back. I don't know when though, but I will be back.
It's okay, you don't like this, it's fine.
I wish that was the reason, but it's not.
All right, I'm going to stop the stream here. So for those of you who are watching, thanks for hanging out and watching. And we will see you next weekend. So Friday, we're going to start progression. Friday and